Just go right to questions. Got to have a good practice today, good practice tomorrow, and get ready for a very, very, very talented, long, athletic LSU team.
I guess just look at the LSU tape from before. Cause it was
Would rather not.
had the close but no cigar. I guess the rebounding was the whole really difference in the game, wasn't it, as far as?
Yeah. I mean, obviously rebounding's been a factor for us all year long, and certainly against LSU, that was our worst rebounding. It's the worst rebounding game I've ever been a part of. So we certainly have to do a better job on the defensive backboards, and we'll continue to drill it and try to solve that equation the best we can, but got to rebound better.
Coach Mason was named League Conference Player of the Week for the fourth time today. Like, in your eyes, how legit is this case for League Player of the Year? Are you even worried about thinking about that?
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it. I mean, if he got it, it'd be great. But certainly there's a lot of really good players in this league and a lot of players that are on teams that are in higher position in the standings than we are. But he's had an incredible year without a doubt.
What was kind of the team psyche on the flight back, and maybe your interaction with the players over the last couple of days, knowing that, hey, you probably got to make a run in the SEC tournament now to get to where you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in college basketball has the same goals. I've kind of said that over and over. We didn't do anything yesterday. I mean, we took completely off. So the guys are just kind of trickling in now as I walked over here from class. So our first real interaction since our last game will be when we practice right after this. Certainly the way that we started the game down 14-0 is not the way you want to start it. And how that happens when we got off to our best start the game prior. Consistency, I brought it up after our last game. You know, you got to approach a game from a consistency standpoint. I'm trying to do everything I can. You know, the Major League Baseball, the Tampa Rays have a philosophy of the opener where they start a middle reliever instead of a true starting pitcher. So maybe I can.
Welcome in. It's our Tuesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you here on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. And first, we want to give a shout-out and a thank you to our sponsors, as this would not be possible without those guys. First, that being said, Lindsay & Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also, too, in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Also, too, Corey Beck's Custom Painting. And lastly, the one I'll probably end up, as most days throughout the week, I make my way on down there, and you should too, down to 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith and Kathy of KDK's Chicken. Go get a plate of that love. And like they say, it's not your mama's, the best chicken and waffles in the South. But we let you hear audio from our media availability of Coach Eric Musselman, head basketball coach here at the University of Arkansas, as Eric kind of recap this past weekend's loss versus the Georgia Bulldogs on the road, and looks ahead to tomorrow night, Senior Day, versus the LSU Tigers, which will conclude this year's SEC schedule. No, at home, I should say. And I want to go over to my co-host, producer, Demetrius Johnson, and ask Demetrius, what are 2 games left? What's been your take of this year's Arkansas basketball team when you look back over the course of, preseason into conference season?
Uh, I think they still exceeded expectations. I think regardless if they go NIT, I think with the product you've seen, we maybe didn't get all the wins that we would like,
Right.
but I think when you look at the effort and the production and just the overall outcome of the season thus far, I think you must be pleased as a Razorback fan, just losing Mike Anderson and kind of starting fresh with Musselman and kind of seeing his philosophy kind of uh, come come to sight over time and just seeing the recruits that can potentially come to Arkansas and just really change the program. So even if I had to give a grade letter, I probably say C plus B minus if I wanted to give a
That's about
grade.
fair.
You know,
I can see that.
with the job he's done this year with the team.
I think so. I think those grades all are very accurate. I'd probably give it a B plus, maybe B minus, somewhere around in there. I think, when you look at it, more good because Arkansas has become a really solid basketball team defensively, with the development of what I've seen with Mason Jones and how Adrio Bailey has been able to finally, end his career by having the season that he's had. I look at Isaiah Joe. I still see a little. I see more growth to be had, but he's able to now start put it on the floor, get to the paint, starting to find his other spots, and not just relying on that catch and shoot or coming off curl screens, 3-point attempts. I think his game is starting to grow, um, and I just see the team chemistry. I see a lot of the buy-in now. I also can say that it's been a very unfortunate loss when Isaiah went down. You could see this team. It's gone through its ups and downs, but also too there's a plus in Desi Seals. The three guys of Arkansas that Arkansas would love to come back with what they have, you know, sitting out with J.D. Note and Connor Vanover. If you can get those three guys to come back, which I consider it your core, you got a chance to be pretty good, a chance to be very good. So I think, my assessment of this year's team is I think more growth as, this was a very young basketball team. I think, though all that maturity through these first two seasons will start to come to fruition and you start to see a major jump. I do anticipate that this team will be a guaranteed NCAA tournament team next year. I'll just go ahead and go online and saying they will be a guaranteed tournament team. Right. Yep. Moses Moody. Right. Well, we have questions for today's show for all our viewers and listeners. We'd like to get your feedback. Let us know what you think, why you think the way you do. I mean, there's never right or wrong, and then Demetrius and I will definitely um, give our opinions in the fairest of ways. But like I said, this is great interaction, and it's Talk About It Tuesday here on OTH. And question of the day number one: if Arkansas's basketball team in 2020 does not make the NCAA tournament and is afforded the opportunity to play once again in the NIT, if you're Coach Musselman and staff, do you play or not? Give us your reasons either way, and just tell us a little bit about it, and we'll definitely try to give a shout out to our viewers and make their comments available so we all can share in this conversation. But I want to start over here with my guy, Demetrius. Arkansas don't make the tournament. What say you? NIT play or no? I totally agree with that. But we're going to definitely talk to some of the seniors. Arkansas, as we stated earlier, will be having its senior day, its annual senior day. And Gentile Silla, Jimmy Witt Jr., and Adriel Bailey will be honored as the three seniors off of this year's basketball team. We caught up with Adriel Bailey and Jimmy Witt Jr. in our availability, and this is what they had to say. And then we'll come back with much more of your questions, and we got another question of the day that we might need your help with. And I think you might want to help on this one as well. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
I guess for both of y'all, just coming off that Georgia loss, because everyone, is kind of talking like the NCAA tournament suddenly become a long shot. Just kind of what are your, approach going into this next game, and especially both being for your last one here.
Just one game at a time. That was a tough loss at UGA, but it's another opportunity to, to win at home. LSU is a pretty good team. They're a great team. You just gotta, get back to basics and come out with a win.
Adriel, yesterday you tweeted that you were sitting around doing a lot of thinking. So what exactly was running through your mind?
Just Razorback Nation, man. All the ups and downs. Y'all been with me through it all. It's all love, I can't complain about nothing. I had a great 4 years here, man. I can't complain.
Jimmy, we probably talked to you about this the first time we talked to you this year, but coming back, what did it mean to you? And now it's going to be senior day, so maybe a lot of thoughts in your head about this.
It just comes full circle. Tomorrow's sort of like icing on the cake for that. It's my last game in Bud. You just start to think. I know Dro probably thinking the same thing. The first day he stepped in Bud, you don't even think about this moment that's about to come up. It doesn't really hit you. Probably really won't hit us until tomorrow comes and the clock ends, and it's the last time we'll ever get to play here and Bud in front of this group of fans. So it makes you think how blessed you are for one, and how grateful you are for just having the opportunity.
I guess for both of y'all, I guess Jimmy first, because LSU, they had that kind of close but no cigar, almost did it down there. Just looking at that game, what did you feel you all need to do different to have a different outcome?
For me, just execute late game and try to come out with a win. I feel like when you have close games and you come off with the loss, there's a lot of things you can look back and wish you had different plays back, wish you made different plays, maybe offensively, defensively. But.
Welcome back to OTH here on KDSJ 479 as we lay your audio from player availability, Jimmy Witt Jr., senior guard, also to senior forward Adriel Bailey, as they, talked about the career that they've had. I mean, Jimmy Witt, Demetrius, what a story. I mean, a guy that started here. He mentions in the press conference that he was on campus. Demetrius, he was a freshman when Adriel Bailey made his official visit. To the University of Arkansas. He was on that team that was being recruited. Adriel was being recruited to, and just to be able to come back and finish his career with a guy pretty much that he didn't have a chance to play with because he, Adrio's freshman year, Jimmy decided that he'd transfer on to SMU, but be able to go to SMU and then come back to finish, your career at the place that you started. Man, that's one of those all-time great stories. And then when you look at Adrio, I mean, he's just been a guy that's just played steady. I'd say he had a decent freshman year. Junior year, I thought he played really, really well. The one game that's always going to stick out is the way he played against North Carolina. In that ball game, I think that's probably the game I think a lot of people. And then this year down in Alltel, the block. I think a lot of people will remember that. But we want to go on to our question of the next question of the day, and then I'll touch base with some of you viewers and your comments, man. Demetrius will get with you all. But the second question of the day: give me your 5 most important Razorbacks for Sam Pittman's first year as the head hog. Give me, your 5. Who will be the 5 most important players going forward for the 2020 season for this Razorback football team? Demetrius, I'm going to go with you. Give me the 5, bud.
So, I remember us talking about this earlier. So I'm only going to mention players that's on campus that are currently on rosters.
That's fair.
So, I'll go Rakeem Boyd.
Okay.
I think I went in the entire offensive line unit. This is not just one. I think that entire unit.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Because I think as they go, the team goes. I just think there's so many pieces. Levi Draper.
Okay. Linebacker is a position that they, have to. You lose Scooter Harris, and then the year before that, Dre Greenlaw. I mean, you possibly could lose 2 guys that are playing on Sundays. I mean, you can't tell me that a guy like Draper, it wouldn't be crucial. That's a good one. I'll go with that.
I don't know who's gonna play safety. Joe Fouché, somebody in the secondary. Buster, is Buster still here? So
Okay.
I'll take Joe Fouché away. I'll just say Buster. So Buster, Levi, Rakeem, the whole offensive line unit, and
I'm gonna go Traylon Burks. I'm also gonna go Ricky Stromberg. I'm gonna go Matea Soli, and I'm gonna go with 2 defensive backs. That's what I'm gonna do.
I got a question.
I'm gonna go with Buster Brown, and I'm gonna go with Jalen Catalon. I think those will be the 5 most important players for this year's Arkansas Razorback football team. And we'll go. We always start our shows. We'll have this show that we recorded, and we'll go back, Demetrius and I, when the season's concluded or as it plays out, and we'll see just by how accurate we've been. But we want to get over here to our questions, and one of our questions of the day was if Arkansas doesn't make the NCAA tournament, play in the NIT or not, and Ty, what a great question. Question is if we play in the NIT, will Joe and Mason play? The NBA is looking. Great question, Ty.
Ooh, that was a.
I think they both play. In my humble opinion, I think both of those guys will be in the Razorback uniform next year. With that being Isaiah's junior and Mason's senior year, I think when all is said and done, I think they will be back.
Ooh, Ty, that was a great question. That was
for the 2021 campaign, because like I said, I think this team's going to be a really, really good team next year. I think they're going to be in the upper half of the SEC with a chance to possibly win the conference. But everybody knows everything goes through Lexington when we talk about SEC championships, either regular season or tournament championships. So, yeah, I think they'll play. Knowing Coach Musselman and that staff, I mean, these guys are competitive, and I think Arkansas is in a situation that you get the more games these guys need, in particular for Mason and Isaiah and for Desi. I think that only helps the chemistry of those three and gives you an opportunity just to see more film because JD Notae, Connor, and that very highly thought of freshman group will be in Fayetteville.
Since you said yes, I must just say no, just for the sake of argument. I say no. Isaiah Joseph asked him to sit out the rest of the year. Wants to make sure he's fully recovered. I know he did have a good game and been back for 2 games now. What was it, 2 or 3 games?
This is third game.
The third game. So this will be his third game. So I think he asked most of them to kind of let it down because they aren't in the NCAA tournament. And Mason, I think Mason doesn't play because he enters his name and he takes it out. I think he does say he's going to go to the NBA, just gets that NBA look. Don't you get a chance to work out with him, but you still can pull it out? Mm-hmm. I think he goes in and works out for him, and then I think he withdraws his name.
See, I think, like I said, I feel so good because I still see parts of both of the guys' games that could really enhance over another season. Plus, by doing that, the draft, positioning, I think is something, and then that's a lot of money. I'm not saying it to be selfish. I mean, because everybody know when you sit here and you cover him, some people, he wants it for what's best for him. No, what's best I think, for both these young men is to stay another year. Isaiah, I don't anticipate ever him taking part in a senior day at the University of Arkansas. Maybe to come back, if they have an NBA break, then he can be in street clothes, I think. But in uniform after his junior year, I don't see Isaiah Joe being here for his senior year. Mason, on the other hand, I think Mason has a little bit more to prove, having, taken the route that he's taken. And now, last year he wasn't highly thought of. The kid averaged over 15 points a game as a sophomore. And then this year, we all know what he's done for this basketball team and, to opponents throughout the SEC. So, yeah, I think they both play because I think they just like basketball. I think the more film that these NBA scouts can get on them, because these are times, if you're a college basketball player, where a lot of NBA players, scouts and GMs can find out about you because you aren't playing in the NCAA tournament. What's your attitude toward the NIT? How hard do you go out and play? Or like you said, do you even play? I think that's, that's something that we'll all find out. But I do think you'll see. And I think, they're so depleted now. I don't think Isaiah or Mason would do that to their brothers.
That's true. I didn't think about that from a body standpoint. So I think when you include that body's perspective, as they wouldn't have a complete roster to even go in and compete in the NIT, you're right. I think they do play when you look at it from that scenario.
We're going to take a quick break. We caught up today with all SEC first teamer Alexis Tollfree and her head basketball coach, Mike Neighbors, of the 5th seeded Arkansas Lady Razorbacks and the 25th ranked Arkansas Lady Razorbacks. We talked to Alexis about her being named SEC first team, and then they're about to head out to Greenfield, South Carolina. Well, they'll play on Thursday, the start of their, hopefully, another exciting run in the women's SEC tournament. All that's coming up, and then we'll be back to talk a little bit more about our questions over there. Anything you want to talk about here on OTH. We'll be back. Let's get it.
Not necessarily winning them all, but still playing really good, and hopefully we'll be peaking at the right time like we did last year.
Lex, can you talk about being named first team All-SEC?
It's just a blessing. It's something that I worked for after the season last year, not playing the best that I could, getting in the gym this year, and not really necessarily worried about what I could get out of the conference or whatever. Just worried about helping my team win and what I can do to be successful for my teammates.
Coach, what have you seen different from Lex this year?
I don't think she's different. I think she's better adjusted, and I knew how to better coach her, better how to inspire her. She's motivated on herself. You got to inspire her. So, that's part of that learning process. And the unfortunate part about only getting to coach a kid for 2 years, it takes some time. So, but in her, when she says about getting back in the gym, she did put the work in. That was a clear piece of evidence. She was more visible. What she worked on was more game-like. She had a plan, and she executed it. And that's pretty rare. There's a lot of kids that talk about it, talk about doing it, saying it's something that's important to them, and then there's really no evidence that it was important to them. They weren't in the gym. They didn't have a plan. When they were in the gym, it was sporadic and not game-like. That was way different than what she did and has done, you know.
What about your team at this point in this juncture? I mean, this time a year ago, very different, having lost 8 of 9,
Yeah.
and a way different feeling.
Yeah.
But obviously made a lot of history, 22 wins, 10 SEC conference wins. How do you feel, both of you, going into this week?
A little apprehensive because I felt like last year we were still playing good, but we weren't winning. And we went to Greenville with a lot to prove. And I know that I have not done a really good job of keeping them insulated. I tell them like it is. We talk about it every day before practice, where we are, where we're going, and where we've been, update. And I think when you do that, sometimes you know we're in the NCAA tournament. We know we're in the NCAA. So we didn't know that last year. We were going down there with something to prove. And I'm not going to change that because I think in the long run that's the best way to be. But I am a little apprehensive about, do we go down there with that chip on our shoulder? But I've got some things.
Welcome back to our Tuesday edition of On the Hill Sports Talk Radio. As that audio of senior guard, first team All-SEC guard, I should say, Alexis Toll-Free, and head coach Mike Neighbors, as they're a few hours from making their way to Greenville, South Carolina, to take place in the SEC Women's Conference Tournament beginning tomorrow. They play on Thursday, and I think they'll be playing the winner of Vanderbilt-Auburn. I think that's what's going to be taking place. But really excited about the future, the way Coach Neighbors and that program is going. I tell you what, if they can continue to recruit at a high level, and Coach Mike and that staff have done so during his time, and I don't see any reason to think that won't continue to be the case here in Fayetteville under Coach Mike Neighbors. But really excited and want to say congratulations to Alexis Toll-Free. Being an in-state young lady, I know that's a really, really special thing, when you look forward. But I want to go over real quick to my producer. I got a quick question. Is Arkansas also, Demetrius, is coming up on their pro day on Monday. When you look at Arkansas on pro day, Demetrius, then I think we're having some difficulties. He's getting some things ready. When you look at this team, the question also would be with Arkansas's pro day. Now, mind you, they've been 4-20 over the last 2 years. Who outside of the young men that made their way to Indianapolis and had a very, very nice pro day, that being said, with Scooter Harris, C.J. O'Grady, Cam Curl, and who's the other? Oh my goodness, Sosa Agin. How can I have had a mind freeze? Sosa Agin, with those guys having gone out and done an exceptional job. Who are going to be some of the other guys on the pro day that you think, following that attempt, will be some more new names as guys that tested really well in front of the NFL scouts? I mean, in your opinion, Demetrius, who will be some of those guys that you think are going to, test well this coming Monday on the indoor part on your campus of Arkansas Pro Day?
I think Kim and Curl goes out there and does a little better in his 40. He ran a 4.6, but I think he shaves a couple tenths of a second out there and gets kind of in that 4.59 range. Then you look at Sosa. I think he had a great pro day. I think he puts up a couple more reps on the bench. I don't think he goes out and tries to run the 40, but I think he goes and does a couple of those other events. When you look at O'Grady, I don't really think O'Grady can really do anything else for his stock. I think just what you see on tape and what you saw at the NFL Combine is enough to see if he fits what it is you need. Go ahead.
And it's funny that, when you really also think about this, and it just dawned on me as well, that juniors can partake in this pro day as well. So when you also throw in that factor,
See, I did not know that.
you got to think T.J. Smith, I think, is going to be one of those guys that will really be surprising, when the testing takes place next Monday. As he didn't get a chance to go, partake in a lot of the Senior Bowl, the Shrine, the East-West Shrine game and the Combine. So I think he's going to be a guy that may flash. And then when you look at Raheem Boyd, now the GMs are going to get the scouts will get just a variation of his speed level. They'll get a chance probably if Traylon Burks is able to test out. I mean, how will things play out? But I think going forward, Demetrius, when you do look at this team, it's going to be a lot of interesting parts and pieces that these NFL GMs will be starting to come to Fayetteville and just evaluate. I think because I think the talent level will continue to grow as well as will the NFL interest.
Definitely, I can definitely foresee a growth in talent coming to Arkansas just with what Sam Pittman has done on a small basis. But I do think there could potentially be some diamond in the roughs up there on the hill. I just think it's all about fit.
Right.
There's guys
That's a good point.
that I never thought would be in the NFL, but they fit certain teams. Like the Hollister brothers.
Yeah.
Those are two guys I totally forgot about. And I look up, him and Dre. They in the semifinals for the Super Bowl. So
and you think about that, how many people would have thought that Dre Greenlaw coming out of little old Fayetteville High School and having really a lot of more so having a winning career when you look at them.
Absolutely.
Freshman to senior, I mean, a lot of ups and downs. But the kid gets into a very scheme-friendly system for him, and we see what happens.
Absolutely. Not even this isn't a bad thing on Dre, but Dre didn't play a whole lot of games at Arkansas.
Did spend a lot of time injured.
But his production was high.
Think about it. You had Dre Greenlaw and Isaiah Simmons.
Man, it's crazy, and that's not
Scooter Harris.
And there's more to name that we potentially could have got. So that's not even some of the ones that we're not mentioning. So
right.
No, it's interesting.
And I heard a story that former Arkansas Razorback Ron Dickerson was the wide receiver coach at Henry Ruggs, that ran the 4.3 at the Combine, went to Alabama, and had notified the previous staff, I guess the Brett Bielema era, of Henry when he was a 10th grader, and there was never any action. So, I mean, you're right when you mentioned that era. There's been much. Justin Ross, the young man at Clemson, I've heard stories of having some connections with a couple of former players because that's what they do. I mean, players that play it, their alma mater, if they're in the high school coaching business or junior college or whatnot, I mean, they're going to really, try to, put names out. You want your school to be the best. So if you have a kid that you think can help, man, you're going to throw his name out there. I think that's what I had. Rumor says that's some of the things that was taking place back in the era that were never acted on. And hence, you understand why you win 13 conference games, Demetrius. 13 conference games. Man. But I think, under Coach Sam Pittman and this new staff, I also saw Coach Hunter Yurachek put out on social media the ticket sales for football up 77% ticket renewals based on 32% at this time last year. I mean, seems like they're generating, for somebody that didn't even deserve a chance. I mean, we won't. That's for another show. We better stop doing that. We're not going to do that. But what we are going to do is we're going to wrap up today's show as we're going to shout out to our sponsors, Lindsay & Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Also, Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and a place that I really love. As I talk about it a lot, even when I'm not on the air. KDK's Chicken, that's down at 989 Razorback Road. Go down, catch Keith and Kathy. And I'm telling you, Arkansas also, too, down there on Razorback Road. Right as if you're on your way to the ball game, go catch Kathy and Keith down in KDK's Chicken. Get some of those chicken and waffles. It's the best. I'm telling you, the best chicken and waffles. And they got this new thing, Demetrius. What's that new thing? We talk about the loaded waffle fries. Man, I'm telling you, they got the waffle cone. You name it, go down there. I can't tell you everything. You got to go see for yourself. It's at 989 South Razorback Road, just slightly up the road from Baum Walker Stadium. Enjoy yourself. Arkansas takes on Illinois State at 3 p.m. First pitch, and we'll be back with much, much more from my producer to you all. Thanks for listening, and always thanks for chiming in. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and let's get it.